The next type of transformation that I have is a value that's multiplying theta before we take the sine or cosine of it. So I have a sine of 4 times x. I believe you have sine of 2 times x. So for 4 times x, we take our theta, our x, and then multiply it by this number. So 0 times 4. 0 times 4 is still 0, and we're taking sine of that value. Sine of 0 is 0. The next value of theta I have is pi over 6. And if I were to substitute this in, sine of 4 times pi over 6 gives me sine of 4 pi over 6. If I simplify that, that's sine of 2 pi over 3. And I know that sine of 2 pi over 3 by my table is 0.87. Excuse me. So sine of 4 times pi over 6 is the same as sine of 2 pi over 3, which is 0.87. The next value of theta is pi over 4. When I substitute is sine of 4 times pi over 4, or sine of 4 pi over 4, which is just sine of pi. And I know that sine of pi is 0. So the value of sine of 4x at pi over 4 is 0. The next value of theta, pi over 3, which would be sine of 4 times pi over 3, which is sine of 4 pi over 3. And I know that 4 pi over 3, in my table, sine of 4 pi over 3, is negative 0.87. So that would be the value of this equation at pi over 3. Let's do one more. Pi over 2. Plug in pi over 2 for your x, so sine of 4 times pi over 2, which gives me sine of 4 pi over 2, which is just sine of 2 pi. And looking at my table, sine of 2 pi is 0. And you would keep going in this direction. The next type of equation that we have is a value adding or subtracting to our theta. This is cosine x, so I'm going to use my paper for cosine. So y equals cosine of x plus pi over 2. So we're going to add pi over 2 to our theta. This is exactly like substituting into an equation, except now we're taking the trig value afterwards. So our first theta is 0. If we plug 0 in for x, cosine of x is 0, so 0 plus pi over 2 equals cosine of pi over 2. And using our table, cosine of pi over 2 is 0. So this value is 0. Next value of theta, pi over 6. Substitute in, cosine of x is now pi over 6. Add pi over 2. Cosine of pi over 6 plus pi over 2 gives me cosine of 2 pi over 3 when I add those two fractions together. Cosine of 2 pi over 3 is negative 0.5. Next value of theta, pi over 4. Substitute in cosine of pi over 4 plus 2 pi. Pi over 2. And I didn't explain the last time. I just used my calculator 1/6 plus 1/2. But I can rewrite this. Cosine pi over 4 is the same as 2 pi over 8. Plus pi over 2 is the same as 4 pi over 8. And if I simplify that, that gives me cosine of 6 pi over 8, which is cosine, the same as cosine of 3 pi over 4. And cosine of 3 pi over 4 is negative 0.71. Let's try one more, pi over 3. Plug in pi over 3, so we get cosine of pi over 3 plus pi over 2. That's the same as cosine of, and we put it over 6 for common denominator. That would be 2 pi over 6 plus 3 pi over 6. That's the same as cosine of 5 pi over 6. Looking at my table, cosine of 5 pi over 6 is right here. That's negative 0.87. And you keep going in this way. Just plug in your theta for your new x, simplify, and then whatever value your theta becomes, you take the cosine or sine of that value.